Hello guys, so again welcome to the another set of extension of the last and previous videos. Okay, so in the last video we have actually covered most of the things one LLM engineer, the core functionality of LLM engineer or a generative AI engineer should know. Okay, we know about the LangChain framework. Okay, we have actually done tons of examples to just to show you that how do you actually basically make the application from it. Okay, which means that let's say that if you have some problem statement, right, and you have already figure out that what is basically what are the lang chain, okay, and how to actually go and apply those different lang chain operation, whether it is a chaining operation, whether it is a adding the memory operation, converting your local stateless system into a complete conversational memory system, understanding the memory part. Then we have seen the sequential prompting, okay, which means that with the help of chaining, okay, we have actually understand about that how do we actually pass the system prompt just to actuate the workflow, okay, so that we can get a very good and precise response. Okay, then what else we have done? So we have done about how to basically connect your local system, right, with the API integrated with LangChain to the OpenAI agent, okay, with the chat OpenAI, right. And we have done other things as well, right. We have actually done about React agent, reasoning and action agent, right. So understanding these things is perfect enough to understand the today's lecture that I am going to show. So in the last lecture I have just showed you about that how do you basically connect with the OpenAI model, right. Now in today's lecture we will going to see that there are other possible way also that you can actually try to make the application. Okay, so OpenAI is not a very one universal model that any like that you are supposed to use. Okay, there are other plenty of option as well that you should actually use just to check where I am getting the good set of result. Okay, just by exchanging the different model, okay, in place of OpenAI. Okay, so in today's lecture, as you can see that we some useful LangChain integration. Okay, these are actually the one slide where we will going to see how to actually connect with the Google AI Studio, how to basically connect with the Hugging Face API and the Groq agent, right, and everything, right. So before that, these are actually the necessary import which is actually needed, right. Let it first do the necessary import part, then I am going to tell about that how to actually integrate the LangChain with the Google SDK. Okay, so if you see in the Google SDK, right, just go to the Google AI Studio. Okay, so in the Google AI Studio, if you go, right, so inside this one you need to first activate your API key. So just go to this get API key section, and then you can just create an API key. Okay, selecting again your paid source cloud, even some of those free credits you will be getting. Okay, if you are a student, then you can actually claim it. You will going to get a lot more free credit here. Okay, so from this you just name your API key, and then let's say that if I'm going to do test API key, and then let's say if I'm going to do this project, so I can actually create the API key. I've already created the API key and pasted it here in this section, so I don't need to create it again, but you go yourself and created the API key by yourself, right. Now let's say that the first thing is that we are supposed to do is that because of, let's say, Google Gemini. Okay, Google Gemini is much more supportive to the multimodal. It means that rather than just understanding the text, it can also understand the document, it can also understand the video, it can also understand the images as well. Okay, it can also understand the charts and the tables as well. Okay, and that is very important for your application if you wanted to use these things into your production. Okay, even as a coding assistant also, right. And if you're wondering that where I am actually getting all these things again from the documentation, if you go to the LangChain documentation. Okay, just let me go to the LangChain website. In the LangChain, if you go, just go to docs. Okay, inside this docs, so yeah, inside this docs again we are actually doing everything via Python. And we have actually covered these part, right. We have covered agent, model, messaging, how to add the memory, how to do the streaming operation, how to actually create the structure output, right, using a structure parser at the very end of chain. Okay, then how we can actually use the middleware and other thing, right. So if you go to the integration part, right, inside the integration part you will see a lot more popular providers. So we have done about the OpenAI. Today we are going to do about the Google Gemini, Hugging Face, and then Groq. Okay, so and you can actually go and test it by yourself. So if you just go to chat model, so there are so many things. Okay, if I just go to Google generative AI, so I will be getting the other functionalities as well, right. How to actually integrate this Google Gemini developer API into your local let's say backend system via the LangChain framework. Okay, so the same thing. Okay, so let's say that suppose I wanted to use the multi-model functionalities, so here I am actually using these things, right. So first of all, these are the necessary import. Okay, so this is actually the LangChain Google generative AI. Okay, so let me just do the import first, right, this first one and then the second import. So okay, now after the installation library from pip, so we are supposed to do the imports. Okay, so I'm supposed to use the Google chat generative AI, So the same thing, okay, that it is actually supposed to fetch the Google API key, and after the fetching of the Google API key, we need to set up the LLM model. Okay, so this is actually the LLM model. So inside the LLM model, you actually know these things, right? That how can we actually like set up everything. So these things are already there inside this one. So if you just go here, so you will see that all those necessary setup which is actually needed. If I'm going to integrate the Google API via Google API in the LangChain, so you will see that if I go to this chat model, so in the chat model you will see a lot more different use cases. Okay, so after doing these many, the import of setting the model, okay, which means the actual main model, right? So the same thing I'm doing it here, right? Now after that, let me check some response. Okay, so if I'm going to check the response, I will be definitely going to get some response. Okay, okay, and if I'm going to check the response and just wanted to take the text button, so you can actually text like from the, sorry, so it has to be, because it is already in the list format, right? So I need to take 0, and then inside the list I need, there's a dictionary, so I need to go the text, right? So let me just run it again, right? So you will see that if I ask the question the same manner, right, I am getting the response. Now let me just use some other model. Okay, so let's say that Google 3 Pro preview model. Okay, so it is like Gemini 3. So before that, I need to first initiate the client. Okay, why client? Because so I am actually like using this for a multimodal request and response format. Okay, so I am going to ask some question based on my uploaded PDF. So what I'm supposed to do is, let me just upload my any PDF which is actually present in my local system. Let me upload my CV. Okay, and after uploading my CV, I am actually activated the client. Okay, so I'm just using the GenAI class. Inside the class, I am calling the client method. Inside the client, so what does it do is that it is going to fetch my any PDF which is present in my local system, so that it will create a my file.uri. Okay, this URI is basically used for your LLM model, so that LLM model can actually like trace out whether this PDF can contain the images, the tables, the text, okay, all these things, whatever will be present here. Based on user query, it is supposed to fetch the output and process it, right? So again, so while processing, I need to use this time.sleep. Okay, let's say that it will take the 2-second time just to process my PDF file. And again, the same thing. Okay, so I'm calling the human message. Inside the human message, I am actually like defining this structure, that let's say that I am supposed to ask that summarize this document. Okay, and so this is basically the file URI which the client is actually like giving it as a response. Okay, this URI is actually, you need to pass it here. The type is basically a file, right? If you are actually passing the image, then you need to put the type is actually equal to image. If you need to pass the video, then you need to put type as actually equal to video. Okay, so this is just a pre-structured setup. Okay, there is no rocket science in it. This is just a pre-structured setup already integrated with the LangChain. Okay, so that any user can use it according to your customization, right? So again, for the PDF tracking, I'm actually like putting these things into a file. Okay, and let's say that I have actually asked the question that summarize the documents, it will going to summarize my document. Okay, so these are basically my message. So my message has to go inside my LLM. Now what is basically my LLM? So LLM is basically this one, right? So inside the LLM, I have actually using this chat Google generative AI method. Inside this method, I am supposed to access this model via API key, right? Access this model via API key, because this model is actually running into the Google server, right? So in the Google server, in your Google Cloud, okay, whatever the premium or credits that you have actually like recharged, based on your credit, you have actually using this model, so that this model is going to read my PDF file. Okay, and based on user query, it is supposed to give you the response. Okay, because these are basically the multi-model. Okay, these are actually the transformer based model. These are actually the large language model or vision language model. Okay, and these are basically the model name. Okay, you can also pass the model ID as well, right? And then these things will be present in the into your LLM. Okay, so now whatever we are doing, we are actually doing it with the LLM part. Okay, we are going to do LLM dot invoke, we are going to pass this LLM in a chain, we are going to pass LLM as a memory feed, we can do everything. Okay, just like the way I showed you in the previous section. Okay, and again, if I'm going to pass this, so I will be getting this as a summary response. Okay, let me ask some other question. Let's say that tell me or point out the Aryan's top skill uh, in the present company. Okay, So if I'm going to ask this thing, so again, it is going to take my question. Okay, it is already taken my PDF from the local, converted it into the PDF URI using the client method, and all these things I'm actually passing it here so that it can actually connect with my Google Gemini 3 Pro preview model, and it is supposed to give me the answer. Okay, so as you can see that based on my resume I have provided, so I have expertise in computer vision, generative AI, NLP, AI agents, and a RAG based system and other thing as well, right? So it is actually supposed to give me a very good response. Now let me just revert the same thing that we have actually done previously. So we have know about like how to do a prompting, how to actually create a system prompt, how to create a chaining. Okay, why actually chaining is needed? Because you wanted to pass some instruction with the prompt, okay, as a system prompt, so that it connect with my any LLM server, just to let the LLM know just to follow these kind of instruction, right? So for that we need a chaining operator. Okay, and memory feed, you actually know, right, that how do I set up the memory part. So again I am supposed to do the same thing. Okay, so these are basically my system prompt. So system prompt is, let's say, again the same thing, like the same structure as usual repeating. Okay, I have actually like showed you before in the chat OpenAI as well, the same thing I am doing in a Google generative AI template, right? So the template will not going to change. Okay, so again, so I have just given the system prompt is that you are a very helpful assistant, try to respond it into the funny and, let's say, sarcastic way, sarcastic manner. Okay, and again I am going to apply the chaining concept. I have already passed the prompt connected with the LLM, okay, which I am actually invoking via API key. So what is present in my LLM? It is actually using the Google Gemini 3 preview model, right? So inside this, let's say that I am supposed to ask that I wanted to review some topic. Okay, this is basically the topic. Okay, so I wanted to ask this question, right? So it is supposed to give me a response, but the response would be word quite in funny format, right? So just wait for a second, you will get the response here. Right, so you are actually, isn't it funny, like here is my professional unbiased total non-terrified review of Aryan. So this is basically because the prompt that you have actually passed. Okay, whichever prompt you are actually passing, you are just, other than asking the question, you are just also instructing the LLM to give the response by following the extra instruction as a system prompt, right? So in this way, again, like let me suppose to use the output parser. So this is basically the str output parser. Okay, and then again passing the same thing, you will get a response in a very, let's say, clean format. It does not contain any unnecessary keyword or unnecessary any other extra special character. Okay, string output parser is going to clean everything. Okay, so in this way you are supposed to do this thing. I'm just repeating the previous thing. Okay, so you will see that my response is pretty like clear from the previous response. Okay, so it is actually containing the less special character. It is not containing this hash 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 anyway or something like that, right? So in this way you are going to clear your response. Now let's do some, let's say, sequential prompting. I have already shown you before that what is sequential prompting. It is just that I am just prompting in a step by step manner, that first, before LLM could give us the response, it should follow the prompt. Okay, so let's say that it is follow my first prompt. Okay, it is follow my second prompt, and all this prompt I'm actually attaching it via chaining operation. Okay, so before that I need to like apply this like runnable operation. Then again, this is my first prompt, that first it is going to convert this the English into, let's say, the Hindi sentence. Okay, and let's say after converting it, it will going to give me everything into the 5 point. Okay, so this is my summary prompt. Okay, so the first prompt is that before giving us the response, it is supposed to translate it into the another language. Okay, and after that it has to summarize everything into the 5 point. Okay, and everything I am just applying, I'm just attaching each step prompting, okay, via chaining. Okay, so from chaining, this is my, let's say, translate chain, and then full chain has to be, first it is going to follow the translate chain, and then second it is going to follow the summary chain. Okay, and then again, if I get the response asking the question, you are supposed to get the response, right? So what it will do is that first it will going to translate my language, and after translating my language, then again it is supposed to pass into my summary chain, which is supposed to give me the translated answer, but in the point wise, like give us the answer everything, and summarize it into the 5 point. Okay, so you will going to get the thing. Okay, just wait. So let me just invoke the message part. Okay, so let me just in the, so if you want to see the response like for each one, you can actually see that thing. Okay, yeah, so you can actually see that these are basically the point. Okay, these are basically the first point, these are actually the second point, these are actually third point. Okay, So before it was actually giving the point in English language, because we have not like explicitly told, okay, that you has to take the previous one. Okay, so by conventionally it has actually taken the new response. Okay, so in this way you are going to supposed to get the output. Okay, so this is basically the chaining operation, right? That I have already like showed you this before as well, right? That how you can actually like attach the chaining operation. Okay, just step by step prompting. Okay, step prompting or sequential prompting. Okay, then suppose if you want to add the memory, again memory addition, you can use the conversational buffer in memory. You can either create a one list. Okay, and inside this list, I'm just telling out the way. Okay, you can actually try out by yourself, that either go for a conversational buffer memory. The second thing is that you either create a empty list. Inside this empty list, whatever the responses that you are getting, right, just feed this response into the empty list. And the next time whatever user is asking question, okay, like suppose if user is asking some fresh question, attach your previous appended conversation with your fresh question. Okay, in this way the LLM will have a very like diversified way of knowing the previous responses. Okay, the assistant user response, as well as the it will also cater the new user response. Okay, but that would be like very harsh when it comes to the production level system. That is why you can actually try to use this LangGraph checkpoint memory system. So it has like in memory server. Okay, first let me just like throw the output from this, then I will tell you. So here I am actually using the GPT-5, right? I'm just setting up the conversation. Okay, so I need to first install it. I haven't installed these things. Okay, just a second, guys. Okay, I need to take the API key as well. That's okay. That so let me just also load the API key right from here. These are the previous conversations, so you can just skip this thing. Yeah, these are basically my API key, right? Okay, now let me try it again. Okay, now let's say that again I'm actually using the GPT-5 to just remember my conversation. Okay, so these are my the configuration that I'm going to set. Okay, so let's say that the first configuration is like from the agent. So what I'm actually doing is that I'm actually like explicitly creating one agent. Okay, inside this agent, so let's say that I'm actually using the GPT-5 model, and we are actually like triggering the checkpoint as a in-memory saver. Okay, so whatever the cache memory it has, it is going to save the response of user as well as the assistant. Assistant means your LLM response, right? So the first response is that I am actually like telling that just remember this conversation based on the response I have actually get it previously. Okay, based on all the response that I have got it previously, so I wanted to give it as a system prompt with my old previous message, right? So this is my, let's say, the first response, and let's say that I am supposed to ask the another question. Okay, just to take into the consideration that whether it has actually remembered everything or not. Okay, so if I'm going to ask that which company I previously worked on, okay, without giving us the context, then let me see that what it is actually giving. Okay, so you are currently working as a verify since September 24. Okay, so it is actually giving a very good output, right? Why? Because I've actually used this in-memory saver. Okay, in-memory saver. Now what does this in-memory saver will do is that it will take the help of GPT-5 model, okay, just to understand your previous conversation. Okay, and we are actually like giving everything into the create agent. Okay, so inside the LangChain dot agent, if you go, okay, you are supposed to get the create agent class. Inside this create agent class, you are supposed to pass these two as a input. Okay, just to trigger the in-memory saver. Okay, so that whatever the conversation that user is going to do, all this conversation will be saved into your cache memory. Then you might going to ask the question that, let's say in production ready, like it will get fail, right? It will not get fail. Why? Because it has also an option to attach your Postgres server. Now what will happen is that suppose if you have a very big bundle of conversation, right, let's say of 100 user, so our LM is going to like understand this 100 user chat history. The answer is very yes. Okay, why? How? So what you can do is that you can actually like try to use the Postgres, okay, or any other database, and just try to append it before this create agent. Now what I'm trying to say is this one. Okay, let me show you before just giving you. If you go to the short term memory in the LangChain, if you go to short term memory, you will going to see this one. This I was actually talking, everything is in documentation. Okay, just follow the documentation. If you're following the documentation, you don't need me. Okay, in any of this tech thing. Okay, see, again that is actually doing the same thing, right? So I am just going to give my DB URI. Okay, based on this URI, whatever the conversation that I will be doing from now, okay, all these things will be present in my database. Okay, And in this way, like, you may have question about privacy. Okay, so that is why you can just give the local database URI. Okay, so like the running in your local system. Suppose that if you don't want to reveal this conversation into some other server, okay, that's okay. Then you can actually like try to set up the local database, okay, and then try to actually like give this link into the Postgres local URI link, and then just everything, okay, just like initiate the checkpointer and everything work as smoothly as possible. Okay, the same thing I'm supposed to tell it here. So okay, so till now what you have done, so you have actually like learned about that how to basically use the Gemini API just to use the multi-model operation. Okay, which means that you are supposed to pass any other document or PDF, right? Then if the PDF contain a lot more thing, if PDF contain image, text, table, video link, each and everything, it is supposed to handle it. Okay, for that we are actually supposed to use this Google multi-model. Okay, because till up to this point, like, the Google is actually doing very best in multi-model system. Okay, even though OpenAI is also doing best, but OpenAI is way too costly compared to Google, that's why. So now let's try to integrate these things into, let's say, image input. Okay, so suppose that I am supposed to give the image. Okay, so what I have already told, the same again, the same story. Okay, so instead of, let's say, using the type as a document or a file, I'm supposed to use this type as an image. Okay, so the same thing. So let me just going to use this thing. So let me suppose to use some any other. So this is basically my image, one of those image. Okay, let me see what this image are. Okay, so this is the image of the chess world champion, okay, Gukesh, and it has some magazine cover photo. Okay, and if I'm supposed to ask the question that describe the image at the URL or the shared URL, so my Gemini model is supposed to give the response as well. Okay, see, based on the image provided, here is a detailed description of this magazine. Okay, the issue date is January 2020, January 6, 25, newsmaker of the year, and each and every other information. Okay, so you can actually like try to pass so many other images, and you can actually get these things. Okay. Now there is something called as video input. Okay, now suppose that instead of giving us the image, okay, you wanted to like use it as a surveillance AI system. Okay, so surveillance AI system means what? That instead of passing directly, like if you're not directly passing the PDF file or a image, you can also pass the video input as well. Okay, so again the same thing. So let me just upload any video. Okay, so let me just upload any video. There are multiple use cases that you can actually like try to use it, right, according to your use case. Okay, this video, let's say I got it online. Okay, this is just a security entrance video. So let me show you the video as well, that how this video is actually like doing these things, right? Okay, these are basically like the customer is entering in the video and the normal gesture, okay, whatever the things are. And let me just show you the how it is actually giving us the output, right? So let me just give this video file location. Again the same thing, right? So here I am supposed to put this thing as a meme type. Okay, and then the type is actually has to be video. The same thing. Okay, the same structure. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to share this notebook. Okay, so that you can actually test it by yourself. Okay, and then let's say that if I wanted to get the response, let me see that what Gemini is thinking that these things are, right? Okay, a uniform guard at the building entrance opens the glass door for a man exiting. Okay, it is actually understanding each and every precise detail. Okay, and even better than human. Okay, because we cannot like, first of all we need to observe, then we need to think, then we need to summarize and everything. Okay, it can actually summarize it in less than a minute. Okay, so just you can understand that what are the applications that you will in future try to make from this. Okay, let's say that if you have a meeting, right? If you have a meeting and let's say you wanted to capture the transcript of this meeting, or let's say if you wanted to understand the entire 1 hour meeting, okay, and you don't have time, you just schedule this meeting, put this into the video format, and then just schedule it and take the help of Google Gemini API, and the Gemini API is going to summarize everything and give it to you as an output. Okay, isn't that very interesting? Okay, it is, right? So even like, for example, for a vision challenged people, okay, so for them, let's say that you convert all these things, right, and then convert all these things into a transcribe, then you can actually convert it into the audio script. Okay, you can actually try to use these, first summarize it, then summarize to audio part. Okay, you can actually use this any other or LLM which supports the audio part, and you can actually get the good transcript from that. Okay, so you will going to make up so many other different variety of process by yourself. Okay, similarly, let's say that if you wanted to generate the image as well, you can actually try to generate the image as well. Okay, so you can actually see that a lot more different platforms has actually enabled, right? So what they are doing is that they are just like using this as a wrapper, okay? So the main code, they are actually using just this, okay? And they call themselves as an image generation company. Of course not, right? So what they are doing is that they are just calling this via API tool, okay? Just using the Python wrapper, just simply these kind of a thing. And they call their platform as a good image generation platform, okay? For their Instagram marketing, for their LinkedIn biopic, okay, and other thing, okay? So be just very aware about it, that they are just using these kind of a thing, okay? So unless they have their own trained model, okay? If they are their own trained model giving the image better than these things, then that would be good enough, right? So let's say that if I'm just telling that like generate a photorealistic image of a cat wearing a hat, okay, it can actually able to generate it. If you're going to generate the image, before generating the image, I need to encode and decode the image, right? So for that, I am just like using this one as a decoder, okay? So this is basically the base 64, okay? Base 64 is basically a very important library in Python which helps you to encode and decode the image, okay? So let's say that these are basically image and these are actually the decoded image, okay? So encoded image, right? And if you wanted to decode it, just try to pass it into the base 64 string. Just try to pass everything into the base 64 string and you will going to get the image, right? This is very good image, right? So in this way you can actually try to do. So let me just try to use other image thing, okay? So let me just, I want to generate the image of Tom and Jerry enjoying their evening in Paris with Eiffel Tower view. Okay, so just see that what it is actually generating. See, right? So sometimes it hallucinate because I have actually asked the Tom and Jerry, right? But there is no Jerry, only Tom is there. Maybe Jerry is Jerry is somewhere else busy doing something else, right? So in this way, you can actually try to generate the image by giving the good proper prompt, okay? Now let's say that you have actually learned about the integration with the Google Gemini, okay? So if I just go to the documentation part, you know that how to basically like add the memory, how to use the chaining concept, how to basically use the sequential prompting, okay? Then how can actually like try to give the instruction to the LLM, okay, to do the task of many multimodal operation, whether it is like asking the query from the local let's say the uploaded PDF, or asking the query from image, asking the query from video. Even the audio part is also there, okay? You can also ask the query from audio as well, right? Then other than this, we have actually seen a lot more things, right? So when it comes to the Google API, now let's move back into the Groq. Let's see the integration with the Groq, okay? The how does actually the Groq will going to do, okay? Again, for Groq also, what I'm going to do is that I will again has to go to this Groq. Inside the Groq section, so you're going to see that there is actually the chatbot. You need to first install this one, right? So installation, you need to first install this, okay? And then you can actually initiate this chat Groq, okay? If you just go inside this Groq, just like the OpenAI, you will see a lot more thing, okay? So if you just go console.groq.com, in the documentation, in the quick start section, you will see other thing as well, right? You will see many different model as well, okay? So either you can actually access these things directly via LangChain or via Hugging Face, or by directly going to the Groq itself, okay? So they are actually like providing you these things, okay? These model are actually as an API key, okay? So for text generation, you can actually use for speech to text, OCR, like content monitoring, the structure output and each and other thing, you can actually try to use this thing. I think content monitoring, that is very good, right? For monitoring any content, that's really good. I need to try this part, right? So yeah, these things are very very important. If you go to this Groq, just go and just learn about these things, okay? So let me just integrate the Groq part, okay? So what I'm going to do is that again I'm going to follow the instruction, that's it, right? So again, if I go to the long chain and then chat Groq system, so we know about chat OpenAI, we know about like chat Google Gemini, okay? Then now we are actually learning about the chat Groq method, right? So these are basically Groq API key, which I've already like get it from this one, right? If you just go here and if you just go to API key, log in it, you are going to get this API key, right? So the model that I'm supposed to use is basically the Llama model. Okay, Llama is basically developed by Meta. So the Llama 3.370 billion versatile model. Okay, it has a very good reasoning capacity as well, right? I'm just supposed to use these things. Okay, and then suppose I'm just asking some other thing, right? It is supposed to give me a good answer. Let's say that human is actually asking I love programming, and the system prompt which I have given is that you are a good translator, you need to convert everything into the French language. So it will going to convert everything into the French language, right? So this one. Okay, so this is basically the French. So in this way, you can actually try to use it. Okay, my main purpose is showing you that from the LangChain itself, you can try to integrate the Hugging Face, Groq, Google Gemini, Microsoft Azure, even like at Amazon Bedrock, all these things, right, into a one single platform. That is by mastering one single framework like LangChain, okay, which is like a very, very versatile and which is like very, very democratic, right? And they have their agreement with all those big AI companies, okay? So it makes your task concentric to one particular point. You just need to go visit one particular documentation and you will going to get a hell lot of different LLM VLM part which you can actually try to use it by yourself, right? So in this way, the tool calling, I know that you guys are actually like know about this tool calling, okay, because in the previous part we have actually done the tool calling as well, right? I'm just leaving it to you. Build a project, okay? I will tell you later that how you can actually use this tool for doing the different tasks, okay? So just wait for this tool calling. I am going to supposed to use this thing in my project which I am supposed to use, okay? That is very, very good. So up till this part, just let me know that if you have any problem. I don't think there will be any problem because these things already we are just carrying it from the previous lecture as well, right? So till now, like we have learned about these things, okay? And that is like good source of more than enough part in order to like any LLM engineer should actually able to know, okay? Any generative AI engineer, because LLM engineer I am supposed to like carry the another set of playlist where I will tell you each and everything about it, how to make a transformer using PyTorch and TensorFlow, okay? Then how to fine tune the model, how to actually apply the RAG operation, okay? These are just a very beginner course of calling yourself a generative AI engineer, okay? Just to understand this LangChain framework, okay? So you know about all these things, right? And that is actually more than enough part to just connect your thing and make a good source of application. So now what I'm supposed to do is that I will be introducing the Streamlit, okay? And I'm supposed to like take your journey forward, that how to basically make a simple chatbot system so that you would able to know that how to like make it for the production testing, okay? So just like not even like this Streamlit, you can actually try to use it for your own front end purpose, okay? So I will going to tell you everything as well, okay? So before that, let me also cover the Hugging Face part as well, okay? Let me just cover, because if I covered this thing and this thing, okay, so why we are actually leaving the Hugging Face, okay? Let's also try to cover the Hugging Face as well, okay? I know that you can also try to use it, but let me also use the Hugging Face as well, so that you will be very, very comfortable shifting with the open source model, even the free model as well, okay? So yeah, thank you.